I don't know, I think my whole life is dance.
As cliche as it is, music really is my life.
Art is everything. Art is like just art for me. It's like just an art.
But I think music really is just an integral part of everyone's lives.
How am I going to dance today? Where am I going to dance today? Who am I going to dance with today?
Art is happiness for me. Art is this smile that I'm carrying.
My name is Carol Kaminsky, and I'm the director of the dance program at the University of Miami. I'm also a board-certified dance movement therapist.
My name is Maya Abrams, and I was a patient of music therapy for 3.5 years.
My name is Devnoor Kaur, and I have never ever personally taken an art therapy, but for me art has always been a therapy.
Where we feel safe, that's always a good idea, to just allow yourself to give yourself what you need. Dance is an intrinsic part of our way of life, and we may have forgotten that as we became more in our civilizations as they are right now. But dance therapy as a profession has really sought to connect us back to that inherent power that we have of healing ourselves, and that this profession is now very evidence-based, that things that dance therapists have been doing for years and years are now being confirmed by new evidence-based research in neuroscience. Is there a conflict? Is there a resolution? How do we get to happy? I actually never set out to be a teacher at all, but I was always interested in dance, and I danced from a very young age. And when I was in college, I was facing an eating disorder. And I realized that I needed help, and I needed to examine the relationship that I had with dance and with eating and with living my life. And I was one of the fortunate people, I think, who got help, who sought help and got help. And as I began to go on my path of recovery, I met a dance therapist. And I realized that the way in which I was using dance, which was for performance, for a measure of perfection, was really not in tune with my real purpose in dancing, which when I was a child was just about joy, and it was about loving movement and being creative. And it helped me to come back to my roots of saying, what is dance all about? And I realized that dance was for self-growth.
Am I scared? Oh yeah.
And then to be like a healer for others, and to help other people know that dance is something that you can do to really get in touch with your true self. If we're outside of happiness, we have to step into it. Reach. And this brings us together. Maybe that's part of happiness. Mm-hmm. Right? Talk therapy, often people can talk around their problems and go in circles. I think with dance therapy, the body doesn't lie. I saw that in today's session that we had today, is that as people in the group started mentioning about not having a spring break, about where they'd rather be, it brought up feelings of sadness.
There's no stop for breath because there's no spring break.
Go out and body surfing. I'd much rather be there. Consider the fact that I have a big exam tomorrow.
That was a really important emotion to feel. And I love that one of the participants, one of the students said, "This is going the wrong way. This is not what you want."
I think this exercise is kind of going the wrong way. I'm starting to get sad.
Well, part of dance therapy is letting people feel whatever they're feeling, mm-hmm. right? We do feel sadness, but can we tolerate that feeling, right? Because what happens to most people that cannot tolerate it, they'll go out and do some kind of behavior to avoid it, right? To avoid it, and then that's where you get in trouble. We have to be able to express it, and then, you know, to move forward with it.
Started when I first went to a psychologist for the first time when I was 16. I went for a series of issues just kind of going off like anxiety disorder, severe depression, and then I found out I had anorexia nervosa. Therapy has a big stigma with it, especially in terms of people of color and African American communities. So when I first came, I'm like, I'm just having this mindset. I'm like, I'm seeing a shrink. Like, I'm not supposed to be here. People like me aren't usually here. And I really just kind of had trouble getting over this little persona I had created for myself at the time as sort of a coping mechanism we had learned. And then my therapist quickly found out that the one time I really did let that wall down was when I talked about music, because I do love music. So then whenever I was having a bad week or I was angry about a situation, I was so used to internalizing my emotions that she would think, how can I get her to sort of like weed everything out? So then when I came in one day, she says, hey Maya, like we're gonna do an activity today. And I was asking like, what's going on? She said, we're gonna write a song. So then she had me basically like write out all of the words that I had felt, which was like angry, frustrated, abandoned, whatever. And then she just let me kind of write for about 30 minutes. And then we went over the song and she says, okay, well, how can we relate that to that issue? And then I went in a couple weeks later, and one day when I was just super shut down, I wouldn't talk to her or anything, she brought out like these bongos she had, because she had gotten them like in Africa or something, and she let me like literally like play out how I was feeling. So I just sort of interpreted my feelings into a musical instrument, which was super cool. A lot of distortion. A lot of disorganized chaos. So when she put it in something that she knew I could understand, it really took away that wall of I shouldn't be here, therapy won't work for me too. Okay, if we do it the way that I understand, like if you interpret it almost in my language, then I'm picking up kind of what you're putting down, and then we can actually make some progress. You go in a space and you don't know people, or you kind of walk in and you see a bunch of people in a room, you don't know where you feel comfortable. For me, that's kind of like every other aspect of my life. Even though I may come off as confident or comfortable, I'm like frozen inside. I'm always nervous. And then whenever I'm doing like performing or I'm dancing or I'm with musicians, I just feel so comfortable, and I feel like I can say whatever I want and it sounds right, or I can sing whatever I want and it comes out clear. It's like I finally got that like bullhorn that's like, listen to me, I have something to say. This outlet through music therapy really gave me a way to speak my mind and speak my feelings and speak everything that's been stuffed for so many years. It just felt like the floodgates open, and now you really can't get me to shut up, whether it's musically or vocally. Kind of the key to what I've been missing at the time. It'll be alright. Whenever I'm really deep in my emotions, or I just have this thought, or I'm pissed off, anytime I just kind of have these words that just sort of pop up in my head and they just keep repeating. I'll just go write them down on my phone. I'll do something with it later, and I'll kind of interpret it into like a song, or even just like vocals that I have. Music is really what kind of helps put the pieces of the puzzle together for me. So it's definitely like a second language for me in every aspect of my life, really. One thing that a lot of people don't know is that music has a chemical reaction to your brain. And a lot of the time, especially with trauma, you are sort of having limitations, almost like a concussion, where it gets a little bit shaken up. And with that, music really helps open up a lot of those limitations in your brain that are kind of helping you function, not your exact norm. And every little bit of music therapy kind of brings a little bit more progression. And I mean, there's been a lot of cases, besides myself, where this has been a great solution. Yeah, it's a step-by-step process. So, yeah.
I have been practicing art Since I was in class 1, I don't remember the age. I'm an architect by profession and a professional graffiti artist as well. I have never ever personally taken an art therapy, but for me, art has always been a therapy. When I create art, even when I'm happy, it makes me more happy, more energetic, more charming, more smiling. And then when I'm sad and then I create art, it makes me relaxed. That is how it is helping me. I'm not a very expressive person when it comes to my feelings. So I sit, I take a paper, I start doodling. I doodle all night and I'm not able to sleep when I'm tense or when I'm worried. But when I doodle, so there is some kind of picture that comes out of that rough sketch and then I finalizes. And before that, whatever is going on in my mind, I write about it and then I create art. I write words and I'm not able to say them, tell them to people. So when I create art, so it is a kind of a mystery because people take it some other way. Every artwork has some other kind of a thing that people assume or people think. But it kind of helps me to like create a mystery and keep posting them on Instagram on my profile, and people keep seeing them, and it is like they think that it is someone else's story, not mine. And the mural I was making, that was on a mental health. Half of the frame was for brain and half of was sunflower. So we have to keep a check on ourselves because mental health is important, and it is like it is quite important. So
I just think creative arts therapy is great. So you don't really need, I don't think you need medicine for everything.
I would recommend this kind of like therapy for anybody, even if you're not facing any particular therapy needs or trauma.
You can just build relations with the people around you and use music and art to just like express the things that you can't really say.
Anyone can benefit from self-care.
Yeah, it is definitely a form of self-care.
Yeah.
Like just being involved like in an intro class like this where you just get to know like what the profession is about and you just like dive into it. You're not like receiving the therapy yourself, but you get a good idea of like how it can help you.